are you ready to put on your garden gloves and dig your hands into the earth? Well, the annual South African Garden Day is upon us. This year, the country's biggest garden party will be held tomorrow, the 15th of October. So get your sun hats, sunscreen ready and ready to make some wonderful memories. Now, to tell us more about this year's Garden Day, we've got Master Gardener Gundula Deutschländer. Gundula, a very good morning to you. A warm welcome to Morning Live. I mean, speak to us about Garden Day. I mean, we speak about this every year, but how do we try and make it better each year?
Getting more people to join, more people to celebrate, sharing with both the old and the young. It's, and at home, I mean, if you've tried it one year, that inspires you to think of different things that you do the following year, like to try out different types of herbal teas, bake a different cake, invite more people to your garden. It really is just so much fun to celebrate, and it is so simple. You actually don't have to buy anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You just have to open up your door. And I think it's that simplicity that is also what gardening's about, you know, just bringing us back to the earth again and sharing our humanity.
And why is that such an important bit of who we are as humans?
Because we have a place in this world, and we can connect with nature. It's a simple, easy way where you can be nurtured while you struggle with your life tasks. It's that beauty that is supportive and holding us and connecting us together. I think, you know what I love? I mean, the other day I drove with an Uber driver, and he was telling me how he had a competition with one of the uncles down the road growing spinach. And just those little small stories, that's what binds us. You know, this community, we all need food. It all comes from nature. We all love seeing flowers and listening to the birds. For me, I think that's the meaning of life. How do we appreciate the gifts that we have around us and how we can share with each other?
And what are some of the best practices, you know, for gardening, from soil preparation to watering and maintenance? Tell us a little bit about those.
Well, soil is really important, and our soils are tired. So if any of us can actually make our own compost, you know, all the kitchen waste you have, just slowly allow that to make wonderful compost that you can bring back into your garden again. So recycling. Water is essential because water is life. So we've had floods, but we know there'll be droughts very soon again. So our grey water is always there for us to use. And I really believe in mulching. So the top layer of your pot plants or plants in the garden, if you can have little cuttings that when you've pruned something, put it on top of that pot, allowing that little, it's like the leaf litter in a forest, you know, that little bit of soft covering. For succulents, you can use stones. That really prevents the water from evaporating, which means that our plants are more resilient, that they can cope if there's some dry times.
Speak to us about how you can involve children, because, you know, they would appreciate that a bit more as well.
Yeah. Well, I've got some friends coming over this weekend. So we're going to be harvesting some of the broad beans that I have here in my vegetable garden. They've been doing well. And I think when children see how they use what they find around, I think that's wonderful. You know, just to really be part of it and to be busy. I must say, every now and again, I go to the school of my son, and it's the young ones that get excited. They're the ones that always want to sow seeds. They're the ones that like to tend to the seeds and give them water and make cuttings. And there's an incredible excitement from the very, very young. I'm saying here like 3-4-year-olds even. So that's where it starts. And it's also those memories that they keep with it, memories of how a grandfather or grandmother would have helped them in a garden, or, you know, strangers even. Or it's those little connections that really helps us always know that when springtime comes, it's a chance that we can grow again, inside and outside.
And what flowers should we be looking at the moment at this time of the year? Which ones will blossom more towards, October, September, October, November, December?
Roses. This is a beautifully perfumed rose that I just picked behind me this morning. The roses love this time of year. They're gorgeous. And I actually would make a tea of this one, which is just so delicious to drink. So roses are great, but of course they're not from South Africa originally. I think it's really useful for us to look at plants that are strong and resilient. So the succulents, really for people who don't have that much time. And the beautiful thing is that we look after the succulents now in summer, and then winter they start flowering for us. So that's your reward, You've got the whole summer to slowly work and tend, and then you get that beautiful floral surprise that is the treasure of the landscape.
I was talking to somebody about how I'd like to start my own, herb garden. What advice do you have for somebody who'd like to start growing their own herbs in their own backyards?
Yeah. I feel everybody in South Africa should grow wildeals. It's umtumyane, the African wormwood.
Yep.
Because it's really wonderful courage. It's one that I have on the boundary of my garden because it brings in the good animals to take care of the pests in the garden. But for medicine, it is really like I think the base of African medicine. It's so supportive, and it works mostly with chest problems and also fevers and stomach issues, so digestive issues. It supports the liver, so if you've had too many things that you want to get rid out of your body, it really helps with detoxifying. For me, that's my herb that I feel all of us can try, and it's a pretty tough one. It doesn't need too much attention. And then the other one that I love is rosemary, which it does come from Europe, but I think it's really become our friend over here. So the rosemary, again, has so many different uses, delicious to cook with. If anybody's buying tomorrow for Garden Day, having that with your meat and even putting it onto the coals after you've had your fire to get rid of all the pests and flies and all of that, mosquitoes. The rosemary is a beautiful herb. I even drink it as a tea when I know at a certain day I need to focus. I make myself a cup of rosemary tea. I find it hardy and strong, and just one of my friends, really.
Now, just finally, before I let you go, speak to us about, how gardening can, assist in mindfulness and in meditation.
Yeah. So I know when I smell this rose, I breathe in so much deeper, and it really relaxes me instantly. And that's coming back to earth, grounding ourselves is really important in a world where media, anything, just takes us onto a trip where we get really anxious. So it's good enough to have a cut flowers in a vase at home, a little bit of flowers next to your computer if you're using computer. That already makes such an impact on all levels of the body. So if you have the opportunity to have a few pot plants, that's fabulous. If you have a little bit of space where you can garden, being out in the garden is really like meditation. You don't have to necessarily do much, but actually feeling connected with nature gives you a chance to be connected with yourself, to find your path and your place on the planet, really. And each little person makes a big difference. And they've really done research now what the impact of gardening does, but also on our own health. So when you know you have purpose, when you know you're part of humanity and part of the planet, then it's really encouraging. And it might take time for people who really feel depressed, but I've even seen the difference in my sister. She's like, nah, she can't garden. But the minute she takes care of a few pot plants, well, not the minute. After a little bit of time, she's really seen the reward. And it's in a subtle way, but it is deep.